Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of an incredible talk show brought to you by the Indian Football Portal. Today we have with us a former I-League goalkeeper who has played with Mahindra, HAL, Salgaocar, Vasco and Shillong Lajong. He has won the Mumbai League, Bangalore League, Rovers Cup and I-League second division. He was part of the Indian national team. He is an AFC A and Goalkeeping Level 3 qualified coach. He has coached with Reliance Foundation as a goalkeeping coach and has previously worked with Shillong Lajong and Tata Football Academy. He has won the Under-18 I-League with Tata Football Academy, Shillong Premier League and Shillong and Under-13 I-League with Reliance Foundation. He is a senior instructor with the AIFF for goalkeeping courses. He is one of the most decorated players from Arunachal Pradesh. Now friends, recently we have interviewed coaches, players, but finally we have with us a coach educator. So I'm sure everyone will enjoy watching this interview. Hello sir, how are you doing?
I'm good, Archis. How are you?
All good, sir. I hope this lockdown is treating well since the grounds have been opened for training again.
Yes, I'm glad that somehow we have been able to restart our training program. It's been a long layoff, due to this COVID situation. Not able to going out in the ground have been the most difficult time, I think, for us as a coach and maybe for as a player also. I believe everybody had a really tough time. And I'm glad we are back on the pitch again.
Finally, good to be back. All right, over to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Achas, for the phenomenal introduction. And I'm delighted to finally formally interview Gumpe sir, someone who I have utmost respect for. He's one of the most knowledgeable, if not the most knowledgeable goalkeeping coach that I know. Gumpe sir, I'm really delighted that I can finally have a very technical kind of interview with you. So starting off, how are you and what are you doing these days?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me for this discussion. And after a long layoff, I'm back in Mumbai, and I'm glad that we have been able to restart our training program, and it's nothing like being back on the pitch again.
Awesome, great. So one thing that has always amazed me, Gumpe sir, you hail from Arunachal Pradesh, which is not known particularly for its football. Can you tell us as a player how you overcame the obstacles of lack of opportunities in your hometown to then become a player at international level?
Of course, football is one of the most popular game in our part of the region, Arunachal Pradesh. It's football is very popular there, and unfortunately, we have not seen many players coming out from there and playing at the top level. So similarly, when my journey started from Guwahati, those days we never had registered state football associations. So we used to participate only in Northeast regional competitions. So that time, I came down to Guwahati and got myself enrolled in the Sports Authority of India Sports Hostel. I think that helped me to shape myself up and then reach certain level where I could explore the professional football.
Okay, and you definitely did amazingly well for yourself. Now, as a player, you have played for Mahindra United, Vasco, HAL, ITI, Salgaocar and Lajong, as well as the Indian national team. What was your experience like playing for each of those clubs?
Each club have different setup and different style. But wherever I played, my main thing was I always look for a place where I could get more game time. There were times where the two goalkeepers are there and I'm not getting game time, so I always try to move elsewhere where I could play more games. So that's why you can see that I have played for many different teams. So with every teams, and I have good memories. There were successes, there are failures, and you learn from your mistakes, and there are a lot of learnings in the process.
Okay. And when I was a player, I remember watching you on television playing for Shillong Lajong. And I loved your technique, but there's one thing that I've been itching to know. You're not very tall and have always been among the shorter goalkeepers in the I-League during your playing days. How did you overcome this hindrance and become one of the country's top goalkeepers?
First of all, thank you for counting me among the top goalkeepers. Yes, I was not the tallest of goalkeepers. Those days, we used to have a lot of goalkeepers of similar height, but nowadays scenario is completely changed. You'll see that the criteria and the requirements are different in modern football. So, but I always believed in myself, and I feel, if you are good enough, you are big enough. So height, of course, is important, but it's not everything. Now as a coach, educator, we try to explain this to the coaches as well. So of course, at certain level and the national, international arena or other competitive level where the height is very important. But those with less height also, you can see a lot of players playing at very good level despite not being very tall. So I was one of them. So I used to work on my fitness because I know that I have to deal with all bigger players in front of me. So I think I try to keep myself fit. If you are fit and if you are agile, you can overcome all these shortcomings.
Okay, I mean, as a player, I think the only regret I would have is that one can't really show the young goalkeepers your videos, because I have fresh memories of how you used to deal with all the ground balls with your scoops, and you were wonderful with securing the balls. So that's something which unfortunately it's not easily accessible now, because the I-League did not have the kind of television and recordings that the ISL had. But that is you as a player. Now, as a coach, you have worked with some of the most decorated or rather well-established organizations, including Shillong Lajong, Tata Football Academy, and now Reliance Foundation. How would you describe your coaching journey from the day you retired?
I have worked, I'm fortunate enough to work with different age categories, with the senior level, with youth setup, with the national team setup as well. So, each segment have different expectations and different requirements. So I'm glad that I'm able to work with all these places, which gives you a lot of experience and a lot of understanding about how to work with different age category. So working with club, of course, it's different, and working with youth development program is quite different. In club, it's all about winning. We have to identify the best goalkeeper, and then you have to keep them fit for the best result possible. But for working with youth setup like Tata Football Academy and now with Reliance, it's all about development. It's a process, and then it's quite challenging. I feel working with young players. At times it's frustrating because as a coach we have seen, as a player we have seen a good level of football, and as a coach we have some expectation. But sometimes we need to be patient when we are working with young children. So working with younger children, I think, is more challenging, I feel.
Okay, yes, I'm pretty sure I agree with you on that. Now, for the viewers, the next segment is going to be very, very useful for every goalkeeper and every goalkeeping coach that is watching. It's going to be highly informative, and it's going to be some real life problems that many goalkeepers and goalkeeping coaches face. So, Gumpe sir, my next question is that many goalkeepers complain about not being able to get distance on their goal kicks. What is your advice as a leading goalkeeper and goalkeeping coach?
First of all, the goalkeepers, we have to train them to play with the legs as well. As in the modern football, most of the actions goalkeeper does in a game situation is he has to use his feet a lot. So we have to train them in all aspects, not just shot stopping and not just about diving. Goalkeeping is nowadays the goalkeepers required to play. The definition itself nowadays is goalkeepers are football player first, who are specialized in handling balls inside his area. But he needs to be like an outfield player with all the outfield player skills. So we need to start training them from a very young age about how to receive the ball, how to play out from the back, how to take those different type of kicks are there, side volleys, long kicks, drop volleys, and off the ground. There are so many, we need to train them early on. So before, the scenario was quite different, that even during our time, we used to have center backs who used to kick it, almost up to the next 18-yard box they can kick. So goalkeepers are told not to kick, let the bigger boy take the goal kick, and so that we can put the ball in the opponent box. But the playing style has completely changed. So we must train the goalkeepers from a very early age. Then definitely we'll see that they are able to do it with ease. So if you don't train them, they won't be able to do it. So we must train them early on.
You gave a very important message about how modern day goalkeeping is about involving your feet, being good with your feet as well. So now goalkeeper is probably the position which is most scrutinized in a match because everyone remembers the mistakes that a goalkeeper makes. So now, what is the most common error that a goalkeeper makes in modern day, and what advice do you give your goalkeepers to cope with mistakes during a game?
The mental traits and the psychological character we call about goalkeeper. Goalkeepers are one of the strongest in that area. Because we make a lot of mistakes. If you don't make mistake, there is no chance that goalkeeper won't make mistake. There will be mistake. How you come back after that mistake is very important. So goalkeeper, if you concede a goal, the world is not ending there. The game is not over there. You still have a lot of role to play. So we goalkeeper must not put his head down if you concede a silly goal, and you still have a lot of contribution to make. So of course, it's very important not to concede goals, but there are certain goals which is difficult for goalkeepers to save. A good goal, a good shot will beat any kind of goalkeeper. So, and at the same time, all the goals are not goalkeeper mistakes. I always maintain this because you have 11 players, 10 players in front of you. The ball get past all those 10 players, then only it comes to you. So it's a collective effort. So as a coach also, we must encourage the goalkeeper, encourage the teammate, to shout at the goalkeeper when they're young, when they can see the goal. You see that some of the players, they try to turn back and they will start blaming the goalkeeper. So as a coach, we should discourage that. And then if you concede the goal, it's a team effort. If the team scores and wins the game, it's a team effort. So we need to cultivate that team effort and the spirit of team effort in the team.
That's quite an important message. And also, you work with Reliance Foundation, which I'm sure involves a lot of talent ID. So when you have to identify talent, what are some attributes that you look at that you think that you predict is going to make that player a top goalkeeper in the future?
When you're looking for players, it's very important, the psychological part plays a big role. If you see the players with a strong mental character, you can, as a coach, we can develop them. The techniques can be taught, but they must come with certain level of technical ability. When you talk about four corners, like technical, tactical, physical, and mental. So technically, of course, we'll be looking at some technical ability, but the mental thing is very important for us to look at. If someone has the right attitude, someone is ready to work hard, and someone and physically they are, we don't look at, at young age, it's difficult to make out whether he's going to grow big or he's not going to grow tall. So it's a difficult situation for all the coaches, but certain things, which a coach, it's difficult for us to give, like some natural traits, like the psychological part, the communication, and being brave, and readiness to train. All these things are inherent, the kids, they're born with. So we need to identify those qualities, then it's easy for us to work with any individuals.
It's interesting that the four-corner model applies to a goalkeeper as much as it applies to an outfield player. And over the years, we have seen a lot of evolution in the goalkeeping position. So how do you think goalkeepers' roles will be different 10 years from now?
Okay, that's difficult to predict. But, looking at the way the games are changing, every World Cup you see that, even this Euro Cup, the standout performers are the goalkeepers, keeping clean sheet, saving a lot of balls. But, all the organizations, they want to see more goals. The FIFA, UEFA, everyone, they want to see more goals. They will make things difficult for goalkeepers always. They will try to make new inventions to make it difficult for the goalkeeper, like, making the ball lighter or serving more. So, because people come to watch a lot of goals. But for us, we call goalkeepers are the party spoilers. They want to see goal and celebrate, so we spoil their celebration by not conceding. So of course the first role of goalkeeper is not to save goals, but at the same time he has to be very good with his leg. So I think the trends will continue, it seems like, and then you may never know. Tactical trend changes depending on the change of rules. If you see that every time there is a change in rule, the tactical uh, evolution takes place. So you may never know what kind of rules they might come up with to make football more interesting. Every time there is a change in rule, of course, the role of goalkeeper will also change. But it's difficult to predict how it will be in 10 years' time. But a lot of, playing with the feet will continue.
Interesting. And now, as you are an AFC A licensed, AFC A qualified coach, as well as a AFC Level 3 qualified goalkeeping coach. Now, one question that many of the younger coaches are inquisitive about, that if you have to explain in detail, how different is being an outfield coach to being a specific goalkeeping coach?
No, when we say no, I'm not taking the side of the goalkeeping coaches, but of course, when we do the goalkeeping license, we do the coaching license as well. The coaching license, all the outfield team coaches does same license. We also have to go through, so which gives us the tactical idea about team functioning, and then a goalkeeping coach can become a team coach. But a team coach who never played as a goalkeeper can never become a goalkeeping coach. That's the I think it stands as it is. So we have an advantage of being a head coach as well, but the head coach of the team cannot become a goalkeeping coach because it's a very specialized subject. If you have played as a goalkeeper, definitely it will help you. But if you have not played as a goalkeeper, but still you want to become a goalkeeping coach, you can work at certain age group. But working at higher level will definitely require your playing experience. So this certification, of course, if you have A license, and then if you have level, when we start with the introductory course where we discuss about grassroots goalkeeping, how we can motivate young players to take up goalkeeping, and what are the things we need to look at in terms of identifying young potential goalkeepers, and what are the activities we can do if someone chooses to be a goalkeeper at the grassroots level. And then level 1, of course, you must have a C license to go for level 1. So we have a double licensing every time. So C license, we discuss about technical preparation of goalkeeper, and then when you move up level 2, then you get to know about the physical preparation of goalkeeper, where we work on the endurance building or fitness building through a variety of goalkeeping exercises, which is quite goalkeeping specific. Of course, the strength development also is important through some specific exercises, but how to develop those things through a goalkeeper training. And then when you move up again, level 3, and then if you have A license, it's all about tactical training for the goalkeepers, mostly to do with 11v11 training, where we do a lot of work on set plays, especially the defending set play, where the goalkeeper coach is involved along with the goalkeeper. If you work at the senior level, always the head coach will always discuss with the goalkeeping coach and the goalkeeper as well, because sometimes you see that some coaches do certain patterns of defending, have 2 men in the post, or sometimes nobody in the post. It all depends on how goalkeeper wants. You cannot force a goalkeeper that, I'm going to have 4 players in front of you. If a goalkeeper is confident enough, he don't want anybody there, the coach has to listen to the goalkeeper as well. So goalkeeping coach becomes a mediator between the goalkeeper and the head coach about, goalkeeper is comfortable like this, then the head coach will plan accordingly. And if you say that the goalkeeper is not comfortable having 3-4 players in front of him, he is confident enough to deal that situation, it's good for the team. So like that, the level 3 coaches work mostly on a lot of video analysis takes place there. Coaches has to analyze how the goal was conceded, and from where we were getting difficulties, then how to overcome those situations. So a lot of video analysis and tactical planning takes place in level 3.
That's a wonderful overview of the course contents of every level. But Gumpe sir, since you are also a coach educator in the goalkeeping department, if there is a coach who has never played as a goalkeeper but he or she has a sudden inclination towards working with goalkeepers, what would your suggestion be? What kind of route should they take?
He can always take up this goalkeeping coach position, but it will be difficult for him to work after certain level. Even the certification criteria allows him to do his level 1 only up to level 1. Level 2 onwards, you must have played as a goalkeeper. That's the criteria. And level 3 as well. And if you want to continue as an educator, so you must have your A license as well. So if you are passionate about goalkeeping but never played as a goalkeeper, of course you will have technical limitations. For working with young players, you must be able to demonstrate. If you can demonstrate, of course, action speaks louder. So kids learn more through how you show them, this is the way you do it, things, and then demonstration is very important. So, but at grassroots level and at younger age group, they can always work. But if you have to work at higher level, there will be some kind of disadvantages for you or for other goalkeeper coaches who have not played as a goalkeeper.
Valid point. Understood. And now you are with Reliance Foundation. For just to, as coaches, we'd like a little bit of your secret. So what does a typical day look like at Reliance, and how do you go about your training sessions?
I think it's same everywhere. The football is same, and but of course, since it's a residential setup, we have the advantage of luxury of having our own field, and we stay together in a same enclave. So we have a lot of meeting and discussion to know each other's program, and then we know that these are the weekly program. So once we know the weekly program, it's easy for us to plan. So in a week's day, we divided the week into certain training patterns. Okay, this day we do this training, and Mondays we do this, Tuesday we already know that. So it's an advantage for us because it's quite structured. So unless you know what it's going to be like, the team, what are the team going to train, what is the plan for the other group, the goalkeeping coach will always have difficulty in planning his session. So it's an advantage for us that we stay together. We have a meeting in the morning. Every morning we come together, we sit down and we discuss. If there's a change in program, immediately it is circulated among the coaches that, okay, this is the plan for today, which help us to reschedule or replan our session. And then, of course, it's a residential setup. Now the boys are not going to school, so they are doing homeschooling, and online classes are attending. So we have to take care of that as well. So we do a lot of mentorship program, and we just keep a check on that as well. Although we have a special department taking care of that, but whenever possible, we have to step in to help them to take care of their studies and other things as well. And then we go to the ground in the evening in 2 batches, and then every Saturday we try to play a game.
It's definitely the most professional academy in India. And do you have a philosophy about how you train your goalkeepers? If so, what is it based on?
Philosophy, who will say, it's all about, first thing is, my belief is, there's a saying in football, a tactic decides where the ball must go, but the technique decides how it gets there. So it's very important to teach technique when they're young. So once we equip them with all the technical abilities, the player, you'll see that the players are confident. If they're not technically sound, that's why we hear a lot of complaint that even at the ISL or I-League level, the coaches still have to work on technique. So in many places, there is no structured training. So you see there's some natural traits in the players, like they are very speedy, they're quick, they're fast, they're strong, but those technical training is not given them when they're young. So that's why, when we bring young players, I believe in, working on technique first, technique, and then, once you equip them with technique, and of course, they'll be able to carry out different skills during the game.
Okay. And now another training related question. Now, of course, decision making would be a key attribute for goalkeepers. So how do you incorporate decision making into your exercises, and what can be quite repetitive or autonomous exercises that goalkeepers usually do?
Yes, every time, when you do this, when you talk about goalkeeping training, it's in 3 phases. The first one is isolated technical training. Then we bring it to a functional. We take them to the ground to have the feel of the real setup, make it the game realistic. And then the third part is team integration. When you integrate them with the team, with opponents in front of them, it helps them in decision making. If you do every time isolated training and then more functional and isolated training, it will not help the goalkeeper. The team integration is very important. So it doesn't mean that you whole week you train isolated and whole week you're training with the team. So it has to be a mixture of isolated, functional, and the team integration. You have to incorporate these three things together. Then only we can help the goalkeeper in decision making. Technical ability, we teach them the little bit of isolated training, then bring them to a functional training, and then the same exercises is done with some outfield players, or if the team is going to do certain exercises, if the technical work is based on that training, so they can use the technique during the game situation, so which helps them in decision making.
You have given $1 million point about goalkeeping coaching being, and I will repeat it for the viewers. It has to be isolation, functional, and team integration. I think this is going to help every goalkeeping coach in setting their session plans and taking their training. Now, when you go into a match setting, what are your main focuses in your observations for your goalkeepers? When are you able to coach those observations?
Usually as a goalkeeping coach, I don't give much of points the goalkeeper to do this today, try this today. No, in the match situation, it's dynamic. The situation can happen, any kind of situation can happen. So if we tell them to today you do this and the situation doesn't happen, so it's not going to help. So in a match situation, it's all about whatever we have learned in the week, let them explore it, let them make decision. As a coach, we shouldn't tell them do this, do that in a game. In the game situation, you may never know what kind of situation will come. You will be thinking about today I will make a lot of top hands up because I train very nicely. But if there is no ball which is coming at that level, he's not going to do that. So in the game situation, and I just tell the goalkeeper to enjoy, and then after the game, just try to reflect on if you have enjoyed and you have done something good, or if some of the actions were not good, what are the things you could have done? Just reflect on that, and then I think it will help the goalkeeper to come back stronger.
And this just makes me go back to your to the last question. Now, you gave this example of top corner saves. Now, when you go into the team integration part of your session and you want the goalkeeper to train on top corner saves, how do you usually do that? Do you ask outfield players? Do you put a condition to the outfield players that they can only finish through top corners, or how do you usually do it?
No. It's never going to happen like that. These are some of the technical elements we have to equip the goalkeeper with. But this is something called, shot stopping ability. One of the shot stopping ability. If there's a shot stopping, finishing sessions in a small sided area, then a lot of shooting takes place. So he will get multiple situations. Sometimes it's a ground ball, sometimes it's a high ball, sometimes it's over the head where he can use his top hand save. So it's not just if we're training only top hand and expect that to happen in a game. That's not going to happen sometime. It might happen, it might not happen. So if it's a shot stopping sessions, we try to equip them with, prepare them with all kind of shot stopping abilities, a lot of shootings, and then we prepare them. But certain technical things, which, team integration will not help. That is, the technique of saving those balls. So we have to we have to create a situation for them in the training sessions so that, we are working on the technique only. So team integration is not about a particular technique, where team integration is about making decisions and use those decisions, use those techniques, use those skills now when you're with a team, playing with the team. So use those skills now. So how you can utilize those technical techniques which you have learned in an isolated training.
Okay, and then now the goalkeeping position is such that they have the best view of the field. So I think you would agree with communication being a very big attribute for a goalkeeper. So how do you coach communication to goalkeepers?
There are a lot of trainings, where you as a coach, we stay behind the goal post. Not every time, but sometimes, if there's a team training, team integrated, looking at the situation, okay, in this situation, you'll see that the goalkeeper will communicate, but they will be talking, which might not be very specific to what you want to convey. So then as a coach, we need to, the moment we see that, the ball is being played back to his own half, what you do then? You tell the team to go up, then what are the words you must use rather than making a long sentence? Can one word help you, to understand, to make the defenders understand, like push up or step, it depends, just step also they will understand, they have to step up, or team up. These are the words they must use to push the team out. And if there is opponent coming now, will you allow them to come straight away and shoot at you? What do you say? Do you want him to go close to him? What do you say now? Pressure. One word is enough. Now, if you say pressure, the nearest man goes for the pressing. They close him down. So these are specific terms which we try to teach them. When to use, how to use. But of course, it takes time. It will take a lot of. Sometimes it takes years for them to use those. So many keepers, goalkeepers, they come from different places. Even we used to do that. We are not taught. So we used to call, if I'm coming out for the ball, we used to say my ball those days. But nowadays it's not allowed. And if you say my ball, and the referee will give a foul there. It's not allowed. So we have to teach the goalkeeper. We have to make them aware. And if you do this, it can be a foul. So what are the appropriate terms to use? If you're going out, I say keeper. If you don't go out, you still have to say something. Goalkeeper has to say, if I don't go out, what? I want my defenders to clear the ball away. So I give communication to my defenders, away or clear, or if there is no one, okay, if you want him to receive and play back to you, okay, no man, then they try to control it. Some specific words, which is precise and specific. So we have to tell them, there are certain situations where you try to create those situations in the training sessions. So which help the goalkeeper to understand what are the words they must use in a particular situation.
And a lot of coaches work at grassroots level where they have children who are goalkeepers, who play goalkeeper, but then they don't have the confidence to open their mouth at all. So what would you do if such a goalkeeper came to you? Someone who refuses to talk.
But if someone is not talking at all, but he is very confident, of course communication is important. But you see, if you are playing in front of 70,000, 80,000 crowd, will the defender hear what you are talking from behind? It's difficult. So but now, due to this pandemic situation, no one is allowed in the stadium. But even in India, we see when East Bengal and Mohun Bagan plays, you won't be able to hear each other because so much noise is being made in the stadium. So sometimes, not talking also can help. You can just focus in your game. But if you are able to communicate with your signal and you are screaming, you are showing the leadership quality. Communication is more to do with leadership quality in the goalkeeper, in a lot. Of course, the information that he sends to the defender is very important, but it shows that leadership quality in him. So when you are identifying young potential goalkeeper, this is also one of the aspects we look at. If he's talking to teammates, he's talking to his players, he's showing the leadership quality. So, but if someone is not talking at all, it's difficult. This is something called natural trait, which is difficult to, we cannot give it to the player.
Okay. And now you are with Reliance, which has battered some teams with massive score lines. So my next question comes to keeping keepers engaged. Now, for some teams, goalkeepers have very little technical save work because of how well their defense is organized, or having a large portion of possession. So what are some of the ways you train your goalkeepers to remain focused for these kind of occasions, and that where they won't traditionally be as busy as they should be?
It happens a lot in our setup because, of course, we have players from across the country, and we have some good talent in our academy. So when we play with teams from Mumbai, I know, of course, the scoreline is sometimes it's very big. So now we have started playing all the age groups, maybe 1 year or 2 year all the age group, which is more competitive for, because otherwise, and we are having possession all the times, the goalkeeper don't get actions. So sometimes what happens after the game also, we try to train the goalkeepers a little bit more so that he also get the intensity. But the best thing is to play with older opponents where, of course, we definitely will get some action on our side as well, which will definitely help the goalkeeper. But if all the actions are happening on the opponent's goal, it's difficult for the goalkeeper. But again, maintaining the focus and keeping concentration throughout the 90 minutes is important. That we have to remind them, to focus and involve. If the team goes up, you also have to step up, and then stay closer to your back four so that you can inform them, you can send messages and be with the team and stay focused for the 90 minutes. Okay, anything can happen in, one lapse of concentration, can cost us a goal. So we have started playing older boys to solve that problem actually.
Okay, so friendly matches does the trick. And also, as a goalkeeper yourself, you have played in many state leagues like the Karnataka League. Now, I'm sure you have faced such situations as a goalkeeper where you're playing for a team that's much stronger than the opponent. So, just as an advice for all the goalkeepers watching, what would you do internally? Like, what would you tell yourself, or how did you keep focused when you hardly got the ball in a match?
Hardly getting the ball. Yeah, of course, as a goalkeeper, we cannot get distracted because one counter attack, even if we are having possessions throughout the game, maybe we are not scoring goals. We are missing chances there. If the team is on you, then the goalkeeper is engaged and he's kept busy, and then he will be in full form. It's difficult to get past the goalkeeper sometimes. If you see many times when the goalkeeper becomes hero, when opponent have better possession and they are more attacking, the goalkeeper gets some chance to show his ability and be there. So, but sometimes it doesn't happen. The ball is on the other side, in our side, and we are having the ball, and it's difficult for them to come to our goal. So, of course, goalkeeper must not lose focus. As I said, one lapse of concentration, momentary lapse of concentration, can always cost us a goal. That's why some people ask us, sometime in match the action doesn't happen much, but why do you guys train more? We train hard in the match, in the training. This will keep us focused and concentrated throughout the 90 minutes. The level of fitness will be so high that we will, if the level of fitness is low, fatigue level sets in, then only you start losing concentration. So if you're fresh and if you're still fit, you can still maintain the concentration level.
Okay, and also you had mentioned about the mantra, I would call, which is isolation, functional, and team integration. Now, could you please give us an example of a goalkeeping session where, with maybe like a little drill or some example of how you take all three one after the other, so that it gives a clear understanding to whoever is not completely comfortable with such a concept.
Okay. I'll just give one example because it can be many. There are a lot of variations to it. You can have your own imaginations. Maybe it's just like a tool or a guideline. Suppose you know that the team is going to do a crossing and finishing. What can you expect now? A lot of crosses coming in, a lot of finishing, rebounds, and a lot of shots coming in. So you have to start planning your session in terms of that. So we have to plan. The first exercises is prepare them technically to catching high balls. Okay, start with technical, just easy balls to catch, come out and catch. And then, slowly we take them inside the goal area. And then we start delivering crosses from wide areas, which is functional now. Okay, and then in the game situation, that the team is coming with some crossing and finishing exercises. Then in a real game situation, you have defenders, you have attackers, and the ball is coming, and the air ball is coming. So we have prepared technically in an isolated way, in isolated training, the catching high balls and the dealing cutbacks and shots. Crossing is not only about dealing high balls. It can be a low ground ball. It can be a cutback. So we need to prepare them on catching high balls and dealing cutbacks in an isolated way, and then bring them in the goal with some live shots and some crosses from wide areas. And later on, the team is also doing the same thing. They are going to cross from wide areas, and they are going to be a striker who is rushing at you. They are going to be a defender whom you need to communicate. So, from the first exercise to the second exercise to the third exercise, it's a sequential progression. So it helps in, if you know that what the team is going to do, you can plan it. So if you don't know what is your team going to do, it's difficult for you. So as a goalkeeping coach, we need to have good understanding with the team coach, what is his plan for the day. Or if you can know it in advance, a day before, makes things much easier for you. You can plan it in advance, and you can replan or remake addition, or how to make it more interesting for the goalkeeper.
As easy as that. That's a wonderful example. Now, a lot of most of the teams around, which is mainly grassroots teams, they don't really have a specialized goalkeeping coach. They have the outfield coach who trains the goalkeepers. So for coaches that don't have know too much about goalkeeping, or situations where they don't have a specialized goalkeeping coach, what are the easiest things for them to teach and correct in their goalkeepers?
First of all, I would encourage them to join this introductory course. That will give them an outline of how the grassroots goalkeeping training is given in the grassroots level. It's all about basic, it's all about motor ability, it's all about coordination, what are the exercises you can do. It's not about teaching the techniques of it. The techniques are basic, the basic and the general handling of how to catch W, how to scoop the ball, how to jump and catch, all these things. It's more about coordination and balancing, motor ability, motor skills. These are the things which need to be focused at the grassroots level. Not much of technical coaching, and you must do this, do that. The kids will not understand at that level. It's all about giving them the feel of the ball, more about ball feeling with hands, receiving and playing out, like the passing and receiving, so that they are comfortable with their feet as well. And lot of game time for them.
Okay, and what aspects and considerations about developing goalkeepers do you think youth coaches often ignore in training and matches?
That's a question. I think it's something which the coaches ignore. Yeah,
Something that the coaches miss out on when they are training goalkeepers.
Of course, we see that a lot of playing with the feet, dealing back passes, and distribution exercise is not covered very much. If you see many coaches, goalkeeping is all about short stopping and diving the field. You'll see that only they put the goalkeeper in the goal, and they do a lot of shooting and a lot of diving exercises they do. So we always say that diving is the last resort. So of course they must also know how to dive and make saves. But playing with the feet is very important. Looking at the modern trend in football, playing with the feet is very important, which is, I think, sometimes we don't get much time also. But this is one of the aspects, I think, the coaches, they miss out on mostly on.
Okay. And Gumpe sir, another thing I wanted to understand from you now, let's say that there's a team that has got additional time available to them. Would you suggest that they take the option of, let's say, now this is to do with goalkeepers being good with their feet. Do you think it's better if the goalkeeping coach calls them half an hour before the training session and has a goalkeeping session with the goalkeepers, and then later sends the goalkeeper to do exactly all the activities that the outfield players are doing? Do you think this is feasible, or do you think it's better to just incorporate it within the training time?
If you are talking about grassroots football, let them be with the team, let them play, enjoy. But you cannot have everyday goalkeeping training there, because it's all about rotational policy. Some kids would like to be a goalkeeper, but it's all about basic training. So we need to have goalkeepers who are comfortable with their legs. So if you allow them to play as outfield player when they're in a grassroots level, rotation of position, make them play as sometimes outfield player, will always help them. But when you talk about older boys, of course, if there's a team sessions where it is, they try to have ball possession of exercises with two end players, which is exactly related to how the goalkeeper behaves in the game. When you have a ball position, you have two end players to help the team to keep the ball position. You can integrate them there. Sometimes, of course, in rondos also you can integrate them. It's a fun activity, like build up to the session. The goalkeepers can also be involved there. So, but there are a lot of exercises which outfield player does it, which is not very specific to goalkeeper. Maybe we can avoid that, and then you can go and do some technical work for the goalkeeper. And if there is something where you are working on a ball position, passing and supporting play, where goalkeeper can be involved with the team play, will definitely help them. So if you have your own ground, you have enough time, you can bring the goalkeeper early and they can train. But in typical scenario, go in India, many teams don't have their own ground, so we need to book them for limited period. So you have to manage everything within that time. So it becomes difficult. So yeah, at times, if you have opportunity, bring them early, train them separately, and then once the team come, okay, they can straight away start with the team as well.
That's true. I think feasibility and the availability, access to a venue is probably what decides this. Now, in youth football, there's a saying that winning is not everything, is not the priority. So, do you think a coach's desire for results at youth level can have negative long-term consequences on goalkeeper development? And if so, how?
When the coach wants to win, of course, that's where everything goes wrong. Of course, it's first of all, in youth football, it's not about, we are not developing a team there. In a first team or, in a club setup, we are developing a team to make a winning combination. But here we're developing individuals. When you're working with youth players, it's all about individual player developments. So, you cannot have a team plan and everybody does the same way, because when they graduate, they are not going to play for the same team. They're all going to go different ways. So we need to teach them all aspects of football so that, they can adapt to any kind of and any style of play wherever they go, because different coaches will have different style. So, of course, development is important. If I have read one quote from or one of a former Arsenal player. He mentioned, the only thing that must win is the first team. But of course, some people will say that, without winning, there is no development. But we must teach the player to win, not as a coach wanting to win. That's the difference. When you say winning and developing must go hand in hand, but that is for the players, not for the coaches. If coaches start thinking about winning, then that's where things go wrong. We have seen that, then you will have, and again, in youth football, it's all about giving playing time. We talk about playing time. Even in professional level, we have seen a lot of examples. You can say, you have seen for the first 3 years, Dheeraj was with ATK. So he was sitting on the bench for the past 2 years, and then he made a smart decision, switch his club, went to FC Goa, and everybody is seeing what's happening now. So, getting game time is very important, even at that level. So think about the young players. If they don't, what will happen if they don't play games? So giving them game time is very important. But of course, after certain level, we must make them competitive, then slowly we'll start having some set of players, and where, the better ones get more game time. So then that competitiveness comes in. But up to certain age group, it's all about giving equal time and not having a first 11 or a second, substitute. This is my first 11, this is my second 11. Then, you're not being fair on them. So we need to give them equal opportunity to develop.
Really makes sense, Gumpe sir. Really makes sense. And you have been, now this question is for the goalkeepers who are watching. Now, of course, you have been a youth goalkeeper yourself once upon a time, and then you went and became a professional footballer. So what would you say are the differences and the challenges that a goalkeeper would be facing at youth level compared to professional level?
Can you repeat? Yeah.
Yes, okay, apologies. So, what do you think are the differences or different situations that a goalkeeper would face at youth level and a goalkeeper would face at professional level?
Just excuse me, I couldn't hear you. Is it my internet or your internet? Because I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat once again?
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, Ryan, can you repeat?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Yes, so sorry about it. Yes, so could you enlighten us on what would be the different challenges that a youth goalkeeper would face compared to a professional goalkeeper, since you have held both roles once upon a time?
For the goalkeeper?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. For a young goalkeeper, of course, it's all about the learning process. They want to explore new things in every age category. After certain age group, you'll see that the keeper wants to improve. We have system called, we have a session called PDP session, where we ask the player to make their own plan, so that, what is the short-term plan, what is his long-term plan. Then we can see that in 6 month time, what they want to achieve. So in each age category, it's different. After certain age category, when they become stronger, they want to improve their kicking, like you mentioned about distance. So at certain age group, they want to improve about the technique of diving, a technique of kicking, or it's different. So it's more to do with their, individual growth there, or how to develop, and how to learn these techniques, and how to make a lot of saves, and not focusing on team outcome. But in a professional level, it's all about consistency, maintaining consistency. In youth level, you might not be very consistent, but as long as you're learning, and in the game, if you're not consistent, it it's okay. You can still progress. But in professional level, it's all about performance, and it's all about being consistent. If you perform one game and if you don't perform other game, then you have three equal goalkeepers who can anytime take over the place. So there's a competition. There's a thing called, perform or perish. If you don't perform, you are not there. So they are equally. If you can do, thank you. If you can't, okay, I bring another one. So that competitiveness is there. You have to perform to survive there at professional level.
And again, going into the match day situation now, how do you prepare your goalkeepers on match day -1 and on match day?
It's different from the professional level. Of course, in professional level, it's all about tactical preparations and a lot of set plays, and a lot of videos. What's on the opponent, who's who takes the penalty and who takes the free kick, and how many players comes during this crossing and all. Then we need to analyze so many things and then plan. But when working with young players, we have to work a lot on their technical abilities, and then of course little basic tactics are also discussed. But it's not like what we do in the senior level. We still stick to the plan. Today we work on technique, and then we ask them to just enjoy the game. We don't have a special tactical plan like today we'll do this, we'll do counter attack. But sometimes they want to try things on their own. We encourage that. We don't say that, okay, today we'll do this, today we'll do that. So as I said earlier, game situation is quite dynamic. Anything can happen. So we can't say that you have to do this today. So be ready for anything that can happen to the during the game. So we just ask them to enjoy the game in a match situation.
And you being a senior goalkeeper yourself, what is your advice for all the young goalkeepers who want to make it to the ISL and the I-League? I'm sure many goalkeepers have asked you this question.
Yes, lots. Be passionate about, and be proud about being a goalkeeper first. First of all, you need to be very passionate, and you must feel proud that I'm a goalkeeper. And then, dream big and train hard. There has to be dedication. If you're dedicated, and if you are passionate, if you are, if you are ready to train, and eagerness to train is there, and then definitely you can succeed. So there is no shortcut to to reaching a top level.
Wise words. And now we have covered a lot about you as a goalkeeper and you as a goalkeeping coach. Now, I'd also like you to shed some light on your other role, which is that you're a leading coach educator, earlier known as instructor in Indian football, and you have conducted a lot of courses across the country. Can you go into detail on what life is like as a coach educator, right from before the course begins till the after the course, and in general, what's the life of a coach educator like?
Being coach educator, it is something, and I find it very fulfilling. As a player, I play. Now as a coach, it's my profession. Okay, I earn my living through football coaching, and then this coach education is something which really gives me satisfaction that I'm able to give back something. Help someone or help youngsters who want to get into coaching and share my ideas. So it's not that these are all things which I say and you must do it. It's not about testing how much they know. when they come to the course. I don't go there to test them. Okay, what is it? What is that? And then I test them. It's not about that. It's about helping them to be creative. Helping them. If I can help the coach to, and then when he starts thinking, that is something I want to see in the coach. Anybody who comes to the course, if he start thinking how I can make it better, how it can happen, they start thinking about the process, and then he's ready to share and ready to learn. That is something we want to see in the coaches. Of course, every coaches have his own ideas. We try to give them the guidelines and give them some tools, but not telling them, this is how you must exactly do. So before, when we started our courses, when we attend courses, we have seen that, the instructors giving us all the exercises, and then we try to, imitate and do the same thing what the instructor done. We try to explain them, we don't want a carbon copy of what I am. We want to see yourself in your session. So be yourself, and then, be creative. Don't hesitate to experiment. If you see that the coaches are not hesitating to experiment, and definitely they will be learning. If you're hesitating to experience and you are, you're not ready to take chances and you're scared about making mistakes, it's difficult to learn. So if once we see that the coaches are not hesitating, they're ready to make mistakes, they're ready to experiment, that is what we try to look at.
And a question which is, I would say, slightly controversial. Now, many course candidates, when they go into a course, very few of them go there with the mindset of trying to learn something. It's more about the certificate. Am I going to pass? Am I going to fail? And then that makes them do things like, as you said, imitate the session that the coach educator has presented, or try and get in the good books and things like that. So what would your message be to people like this who go with the horse view that I have to pass the course rather than learn?
Different coaches have different mentality. So some people come with the learning attitude. Some people just want to come and get, it always comes with a mixed bag. Every courses or every group we meet, it always comes with a mixed bag of very interesting candidate. Some are very good, and some are okay, and I don't say that some are very bad, and if they are bad, they will not come there at all. So some are ready to change themselves. It's not about changing themselves, but changing their way of thinking. Being creative. Not to just follow what we do. That we try to explain that. In the sessions. You can be expressive, express yourself. And if you're able to express yourself, I think you can give the best. So if you try to be something which you are not, and of course, it's easy to make out. So we always tell them, be yourself, and don't try to behave something else which you are not. So be yourself and express it, and then passing and failing is always there. Some will get through, some will have his second chance later on, but of course there will be, it's difficult. We can't tell the players, tell the participants, okay, you don't do this and you do that. If he wants to do that, it's up to him, but we need to respect everyone's opinion. And then if he wants to do that, it's up to him. But if he's good enough, yeah, he's good. If he's not good and do all kinds of things also, it doesn't make difference for us.
I'm sure this answer is something that many viewers would be interested in hearing, because there's so many courses happening and so many applicants. So now this entire segment has had a lot of technical questions, and now I'd like to move on to a lot of your personal opinion on wider aspects apart from on topics other than coaching. So it's going to be more of on your opinion on stuff like on modern day goalkeeping. So the first, and you as a person. So the first one is a question broken down into two parts. Number one, all along, past, present, which are your favorite Indian goalkeepers? and you're allowed to name yourself if you want.
Of course, during our time, there was no TV when we were young, especially. So those days used to be days of Doordarshan only. So in Doordarshan, we could see only Santosh Trophy finals or Duran Cup, some of the tournaments, only final match we used to see. So we never had the chance to see some of the top goalkeepers who were playing those days. We used to hear about them. Unless you see them, it's difficult. But I have seen certain goalkeepers. They were top goalkeepers. Maybe I have not seen them, so it's difficult for me to comment on. He was good or he was better. But I have seen some goalkeepers. Those days whom we have seen, and I have played alongside also a little bit, and I found them to be very nice human being as well. When we were young, we have seen Tanumay Basu is one of them. I have seen him despite very lean guy, and if you look at him and outside, he will not look like a football player. But in the goal, he used to be one of the most interesting goalkeeper I have seen. And then I have played alongside, Yusuf Bhai is there, Yusuf Ansari. Really one of the most interesting character I have seen in my playing journey as a junior to him, and I have seen him playing at top level. He's one of the, not just as a goalkeeper but as a human being, who always is ready to come up and help a younger one. I've seen that and I've experienced that. So these are the 2%, whom I hold in good regard.
And what about current present day?
Present day, everyone is good. I mean, I'm very happy to see from the first year of Indian Super League. If you have seen that, there are a lot of foreign goalkeepers playing. Not against anyone, nothing against foreign goalkeepers, but it's always good to see our own Indian goalkeepers, now playing at all the ISL teams. Have our own Indian goalkeepers, and they are all doing well. They are not just there because you need to cut down on a certain number of foreign players, but they are there on their merit, and they are proving themselves. And you can see that the current transfer, you have seen it. The highest transfer fee have been paid for a goalkeeper. That is something really, and as a goalkeeper, as a goalkeeping coach, is very happy to see that someone other than an outfield player is among the top earner in football in Indian circuit. So all of them are good. There are a lot of goalkeepers. I would not like to single out anyone that he is the best. In every team, if you can fit into any team and perform there, you are good. So whoever is playing in all the clubs, and there are 7, 8 of them, they're consistently performing. So it's difficult for me to single out one here.
Okay, and your favorite foreign goalkeepers?
Of course, I have watched the first World Cup when I watched 1986 World Cup. The Mexican goalkeeper George Campos. He's my favorite, all-time favorite, because I have seen him in one of the most shortest goalkeeper. He's just maybe a little shorter than me, but he's playing at the World Cup, not just playing, and having a great tournament. And that really inspired me to take up goalkeeping seriously. George Campos, and later on he became the goalkeeping coach of the national team. And not just as a goalkeeper, he has scored many goals, playing as an outfield player also. Whenever the team needed him to score, he stepped up, and as a player also, he scored so many international goals. So George Campos is my all-time favorite. And then from in the modern football, I think I find Manuel Neuer to be very interesting because of his all-round ability, not just in distribution. Because some keepers are very good in distribution, some keepers are very good in shot stopping. But if you look at Manuel Neuer, I think he's good in everything. So I think that sets him apart.
That's an interesting choice. And you're working in youth football, but you are also one of the most qualified goalkeeping coaches in the country. So do you plan to take up a goalkeeping coach role at an ISL club anytime soon?
I have a long-term commitment with Young Champs, and then definitely I would like to respect that. And then working with youth football always, gives me much satisfaction. Although the glamour is there at the higher level, at working at the top level. So as of now, I'm focusing on, giving my service as, to the Young Champs, because I have a long-term commitment with them. So immediately saying I want to go to higher level, I think is not is not good on my part. So I'm happy where I'm here now, so that I'm able to express myself and try to contribute and develop some young goalkeepers.
Okay, and you're by far the most successful footballer to come out of Arunachal Pradesh. Now, what do you think? What steps do you think can be taken up in the state to ensure that there are more of you coming out of there?
Yeah, that has been a question for a very long time. Football, as you said, is very popular in my state, but not many have come out from there. So one thing is, we don't have a very strong league. Our state league started very recently, and then I think it's picking up. The last two editions saw a huge response, and the way it was played and organized is a very professional way. So the more our league grows, and then the club culture will set in. We don't have many clubs in our state, but we have our all regional local teams. So, and then now we have grassroots footballs being taken up very seriously. So I think it's in a very good, moving in a good direction now. So a lot of activities are being happening at the grassroots level, and a lot of youth football. You have seen that even in last 3 years, our under 16s have reached the final twice in the tier 2 category. So it shows that there is talent. So, and our girls have also done well. Girls have also done well in all age category football. So I think it's a matter of time that you will see some players coming out from my state.
Great, we really hope so. And coming to the last question of this really, really interesting interview, what are your future plans?
Oh, okay.
I mean, you mentioned about having a long-term commitment with Reliance, but just in general, and the future plans could be football, it could be life in general, anything about you.
I want to enjoy my coaching as long as I'm able to do it, and as long as I'm fit, I would like to stay fit as much as possible. And then, definitely I would like to enjoy myself as much as possible in coaching, in the field of coaching. So as of now, I'm not looking at what I will do when I quit everything. I think that the time will tell. So I'm not planning anything for what I'll do, but I would like to involve in coaching as long as possible.
So I had mentioned off record before the interview started that you're looking like an under 18 player. So I'm sure you're very fit and you're going to be coaching for many, many years, for a few decades for sure. So Gumpe sir, I mean, I've had tremendous fun in interviewing you and getting a lot of knowledge myself. I'm sure the viewers are going to get a lot of information, but so have I, with a lot of these technical answers that you have given to real-time coaching questions and solutions to real-time coaching problems. And I really hope that we can have an interview soon. And I shall bring Archis on to conclude. Thank you so much, Gumpe sir.
Thank you so much. And I would like to add one thing, whatever, we have discussed, many points are all individual and my opinion. It's not that, this is how it actually happens for goalkeeping and the goalkeeping coaches. This is something which I have learned, and, I'm sharing my opinion. Thank you.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, Gumpe sir. I'll transfer it to Archis now.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot for your time, Gumpe sir. I'm sure our viewers will enjoy getting to know many different things from this interview. And I'm sure many goalkeepers will be much more pumped up now to get into the professional setup and do their best. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. And I know I really enjoyed the discussion.